On today's episode of Locked On 76ers, Keith and I talk about the candidacy. Again, the MVP race. Where does Joel Embiid fall into it? And another scoring guard along the way that the Sixers have to try to slow down tonight. We'll tap into it all next, right here, Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome. You are Locked On 76ers. I'm Devon Givens from 97.5 The Fanatic Radio in Philadelphia, alongside my co-host partner, as always, from theinquirer.com, Sixers beat writer Keith Pompey. Keith, what's happening?
What's good, D? How you been, man?
How's it going out there? Is it raining out there in Portland?
Not anymore. It was raining when I arrived here yesterday, but today it's overcast, but not raining.
Okay. All right. Well, we got the rain here, so we got all that covered for you. So no worries. Yeah, we just want you to be safe out there. It's all good. You can get to the arena and it's all straight. But thanks to everybody for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. And remember, Locked On 76ers is free and available on all platforms, including right here, YouTube on Locked On 76ers. A lot to get into. Sixers going for win number 4 on this 5-game trip, trying to stay undefeated against the Portland Trailblazers tonight. We'll talk about the matchups a little bit. Also, the candidacy of Joel Embiid in the MVP race. This team is red hot, and he is right back in the thick of things with the others. And we'll get into it all next. And let's start right there, Keith. Why this one, of course, is a topic of conversation again. Will he be in the mix in the end for the top conversation for the MVP? He's still ranked second in the NBA at 33 points per game, just under 10 rebounds a night. Defensively, he is still blocking shots at over a block shot a game. And he's hitting game winners, too. They may not win the game at the final shot with the buzzer sounding and you run and you celebrate with your teammates. But what he is doing, Keith, is he has been hitting these shots that gives them the lead and not giving it up with however many seconds remain on the clock. He's playing great basketball right now.
Yeah, he is. The thing is, I think he deserves to be the MVP. I mean, I voted for him last year. I vote for him again this year. Right now he has my vote. You never know.
Really?
Several games left, so things could change. But here's the deal. I think when we look at Joel Embiid, we look at his size. He's listed as 7 feet, but he's actually 7'2". He's listed as 280, but he weighs more than that. But you look at him and you see his style of play, and there's always people saying, well, if I was his size, I would stay down on a block. I would do this. I would do that. So they look at him as if he's not doing enough. Even though he's dominating, when they look at his size, they say he's not doing enough. But then you look at the Joker, Nikola Jokic, and you look at him, and he's not really that athletic, you think, and he's out here getting these triple doubles. He's doing all this other stuff. And I think people look at him and say, wow, he's getting the most out of that body. He's getting the most out of that body. And I think that becomes a national narrative to where people start saying, well, Joel isn't doing enough, and this guy is giving his all, and they start voting for Jokic. And when you look at it, it's all over. It's on SportsCenter, it's on all types of things.
Oh,
where
Jokic does everything. Yeah,
and it leads everything. Exactly. It leads everything. So I think that, Joel is just not getting the just due that he deserves. I think the players know it. Like a lot of guys comment and say how great he is. But I think we look at him and we expect more, even though he's playing a certain style way in elite level.
How do the outside of the Sixer fans? There were a lot of Sixer fans in LA the other night on Tuesday night when they defeated the Clippers, and he was phenomenal again, over 40 points. But how many? How do even though he can really get under their skin, the fan bases, and he plays to the crowd a little bit, when he goes on these types of tears, since you are in these other buildings, what are their reactions like? How do they treat him when he's there?
I mean, he gets the utmost respect. Like a lot of times, he's like the favorite villain. You know what I mean? But people appreciate basketball. It's kind of like, I'm not. It's kind of like when the favorite player from the other team, and he's like not taunting the crowd, but he's celebratory and this and that. So yeah, they give him the business sometimes. But a lot of times, I hate to say it, there's a lot of Sixers fans in the crowds too. So you typically every average on the average road game, you'll hear the MVP chant, MVP, while he's at the foul line, right? You just hear that, and then afterwards, walking out of the tunnel, walking like through the tunnel, there's always a bunch of fans there waiting for him to sign autographs. So it's kind of like it's reached. I'm kind of like numb to it now, but I want to say about 4 years ago is when it first started, that it reached like rock star status when he went on the road and these arenas, like the fans just always bombard him.
Well, listen, man, he's that good to me, and I know how most Sixer fans stand behind him, especially when it comes to that narrative that you speak of, where Nikola Jokic can do no wrong, Embiid can do wrong, and I think a part of it with Embiid, of course, is his injury history. This year has been good. He's only missed a couple of games, and even with that, when people start talking about the All-Star starters without the fan voting part of it, of just trying to who should start and all of that in the East and the West, that he gets a little of the pushed aside, if you will, because of the fact that he missed a few games again this season. When in actuality, Keith, I mean, he's only missed a few, and they were, a couple of low management games with some real injuries, and that's how it goes. But look, he's playing great basketball again. He seems like he's in a really good sync, as we talked about last episode with James Harden, where they have this symmetry going on that's really working out very well. He's passing the basketball. Sometimes he still has his high turnover games and things of that nature. But for the most part, he's going to be in the conversation, I think, in the end with Jokic, Doncic, Tatum. And that's probably your main four, with Kevin Durant now injured and going to be out for a couple of more weeks here with his injury. So with the MCL. So overall, he's a great player. And I don't toss that word around a lot. He's a great one. And right now, this team is hot. 16 of their last 20. They've won their first three along this road trip, 8-2 in their last 10. They're really playing some good basketball. They got a tough one tonight against the Portland Trailblazers later. We'll talk about Damian Lillard and how this team is hot right now. Keith, we'll get to Damian Lillard and the Blazers later. But coming up next, we got to talk about how hot this team and why it's playing out the way that it is next right here on Locked On 76ers. But as they are hot and they have all this energy on the floor, I hope that you have the same type of energy. And when you want a little snack, you're looking for a delicious treat, but you don't want all the fat and the calories that come with it, then you got to try a Built Bar. And we just got through the holidays, right, a couple of weeks ago, and everybody kind of let it go a little bit because you want to eat with the family and friends. You want to have a good time. But I know my goal, and I'm sure yours is too, is to eat a little healthier this year. And if you're like me, where you want to eat a little healthier but don't want to compromise that taste, you got to have a good tasting thing, right? Well, you got to try Built. With Built, healthy is actually tasty. Seriously, they're so delicious. You won't think they're good for you. Perfect for your New Year's resolution. What makes them so good, are you asking me? Well, let me tell you. They're covered in 100% real chocolate. That's right, 100% real chocolate. And that's just for starters. Let me give you some of the flavors. Churro, peanut butter brownie, and coconut almond, only 130 calories and 4 grams of sugar with a whopping 17 grams of protein. You can't beat that when you want to still have a good taste and all of that. Now you don't even need to order online. If you do, that's fine. But you can go to the store and get a box. Why wait around for your delivery? For years, we've been telling you about ordering it that way. But now you can go to the local Walmart or Sam's Club. Yes, very convenient. That's right. Head to your nearest Walmart today. Walk to the pharmacy section and grab yourself a box of Built Bars. You can pick up a box of 4 of cookies and cream, double chocolate, or coconut puffs. And even Sam's Club, you can run in and grab a 13-bar box with our flavors: brownie, batter, and churro. Folks, you can thank me later. Welcome back. You are Locked On 76ers. Appreciate you hanging out with us here. Thank you for making your first listen. For your next, check out Locked On Now podcast. Nightly recaps of every NBA game with analysis from our local experts. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. All right, Keith, this team is hot right now. They're one of the hottest teams in the NBA. They are a half a game back of second place in the Eastern Conference, man. What's different? How have we gotten here? This things look real good right now. And is it sustainable as we are also gearing up for the trade deadline?
Yeah, I mean, I think how they got there is James Harden. I think when you look at it, the last 20 games is basically when um, he became more of a ball handler. I mean, more of a ball distributor, like getting more people involved. He wasn't pound, 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 and then like let the shot clock run out like he was in his first game back against Houston. And I think, it all started with the Lakers on December the 9th. And then from that point forward, the Sixers have just been playing better basketball. Now, the thing about the sustainable part is the questionable defense. That's the hard part. But when you look at Harden, it seems like Harden and Embiid have formed the partnership, a better partnership. Whereas Embiid knows that the Sixers are at their best when the ball is in his hand and he's distributing the rock. So he's not trying to be as ball dominant and have things run through him like he has in the past, knowing he's going to get the ball the majority of the time. So I think that's the big thing. But their defense, I'm looking at it where guards are just coming down there and scoring at it will against the 76ers and forwards like LeBron James.
Yeah.
So that's something that the Sixers have to correct.
And they do. And we've talked about it before. How do you correct it? Matisse Thybulle maybe getting a few extra minutes. Daniel House is just flat out, Keith, out of the rotation right now. That's no help there. But DeAnthony Melton's, that's a part of the reason why he's starting to kind of try to slow those guys down. Look, you got to give credit where credit is due a lot of times because these dudes are pros too. They are scorers and they do what they do. But defensively, as you pointed out, they have to figure out a way to slow these down. You can't stop them, but it has to be manageable where you're not digging yourself into a big type of hole because Clarkson is going off for 38, as you talked about. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander going off for his 37 and shocking the Sixers in that game before they went on the road trip. And even LeBron James, as you talked about as well. So they're going to have to figure that out. And they're going to have a big test tonight with Damian Lillard and his 44 that he had in their last game against the Denver Nuggets, where they fell, unfortunately for them, and they are struggling a bit. So we'll see how they defend him. Anthony Simons is also a pretty good scorer. Jeremy Grant is a pretty good scorer on that team. So they have to figure out a way to slow all that down. When we come back, we'll get into our key matchups for tonight. And one of them, I'm guessing, Keith, will be about Damian Lillard and how to slow him down. We'll do all that next right here, Locked On 76ers.
Let's talk about BetOnline. BetOnline is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from pro football to college bowl season to basketball and World Cup. We've got it all at betonline.net. If you love sports podcasts, you can even find those at BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Welcome back, Locked On 76ers. All right, Keith. When you look at the Trailblazers, they're 21-23. They have lost. They've only won 3 of their last 10, and they've been struggling. They can score. We know that they can put some points up with Simons, Lillard, Grant, all of that, but they've been having their problems. And they lost to the Nuggets on Tuesday. Tough loss. Lillard had 44, but Jokic had a triple-double. Denver's a better basketball team. This is more than a winnable game again, Keith, where as they look to stay undefeated, man. How do you see this one? What needs to be done?
I mean, I think they need to try to have a bend but don't break, defense. I mean, I think that it's good. It would be great if we say you can shut Dame Lillard down, right? But if you look at it, I mean, it would be great. But if you look at it, that's probably not going to happen. But I think what you got to do is you contain them. I mean, keep them within these points total. But then also like the guys like Jonathan Simons and Jeremy Grant, you can't allow them to get off to help him. You know what I mean? You just can't. I think that if James Harden and them do what they're, known to doing, because it seems like offensively, Lillard's getting all the points, but they're struggling a little bit on the defensive and giving up more, giving up points to other guys, standouts. But I think if James can move the ball, it's always the same rhetoric. If James can move the ball and Joel gets some nice touches, Tobias gets a little bit involved, and Maxey comes off the bench, and be that guy, I think they should be okay. I
Yeah,
just don't want them to be overconfident.
yeah, you shouldn't. No, you shouldn't. Of course, the ideal plan going in, as we talked about, the floor being 3 wins on this 5-game trip. They're already at that. No need to settle for it. So look at what's in front of you and the opportunity that is presented to you, which is you are a better basketball team than they are. Sixers 12 games over 500, Blazers 2 games under. This game that we just talked about, 44 for Damian Lillard, 18 for Jeremy Grant, 14 for Anthony Simons. And watch out for the young kid too, Shaden Sharp, the rookie off the bench. He's really talented, athletic. He's going to be in the dunk contest. He's my favorite for the winner in the dunk contest next month. But for the team, though, as we talk about the Sixers, yeah, everything is geared to DeAnthony Melton, number one on Damian Lillard, how to slow him down. They're going to search out and try to get those mismatches and get him off of him, and maybe have James Harden defend him. And we know that that's not the ideal defensive matchup for Doc Rivers' team, but we'll see if Harden can at least make it tough on Damian Lillard. And as always, man, rebound the basketball, defend on the perimeter. Sometimes, Keith, when I look at the box score, watching the game and then looking at the box score, I don't realize how many points are scored in the paint. Sometimes it's too easy. And even with Embiid, because they pull him away and then they attack the painted area, and he'll recover and block whatever he can. But there's too many points in the paint. So they have to make sure that with these two guards and Simons and Lillard, also with Jeremy Grant, Josh Hart is on this team. He's a rugged guy who can put the ball on the floor and finish in the painted area. They have to make sure that they cut those driving lanes off where it's not as easy as it was against the Oklahoma City, for example, where Shai Gilgeous was just living in the paint, Josh Giddey living in the paint. They can't have that tonight because they have multiple players who can do that and get to the painted area and finish. Rebound, get out in transition and finish yours, but defend in transition as always. And they're going to fire up a lot of three-point shots. So make sure you close out and defend on those types of shots. And maybe we'll see if the Sixers fall on their end. And I think that they'll be in a pretty good spot tonight. They're a better team. I expect them. These two games are important because you do want to win the trip. I mean, you want to end the trip on a good note. So Sacramento on Saturday, tonight Portland, they have to make sure that they go out there and do those things. And Nurkic is a physical dude, man. So he and Embiid are going to bang on the low block and see what happens. But he finds a way to get these guys in foul trouble too. So, and also, I think James Harden will have a better game tonight because he was in LA. LA will eat you alive. He is part of that, and he was terrible in that Clippers game on Tuesday. So I think you'll get a better Harden performance tonight.
Yeah, we'll see. I think he should. Yeah, he should. He should.
All right, everybody, we appreciate you. Thanks for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. For your next episode, we will have a breakdown of the game and close things out on this week. Now, make sure your second listen is Locked On NBA, Locked On Experts covering the biggest stories around the NBA every Monday through Friday in less than 30 minutes. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. Keith, can you let the good people know where they can find us?
Like my man D said, it's free and available. So wherever you get your podcast, make sure you get this podcast, right? But also, you can also listen to my man D from 7 to 9:45 on the Divine Giving Show on 97.5 FM Philadelphia. From 7 to 9:45. You can also follow him on Twitter at DivineG at 975. You can follow me on Twitter at Pompey on Sixers, and you can read my stuff in the Philadelphia Inquirer.com.
Make sure you read Keith. Check him out. We appreciate everybody for hanging out with us on this Thursday. We'll talk about the Sixers and the Blazers game tomorrow with you right here on these same feeds. Have a good one. Thanks, Keith.
Peace, brother. Peace.